Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and give this a shot. This is VOD review for Cake in the Discord for Everfrag. What is up? I'm gonna be watching your Genji. Let's go back to basically off the entrance. So first off, just like a brief little thing. You wanted to know if you wanted to focus mostly on why you're not climbing as much and what you could be doing to climb more. So first off, just going into general hero stuff. I know you're in gold, which means meta, or at the moment you're in gold, which means meta doesn't mean too much, but the higher you go, the more you're going to want to focus on what heroes do things best and most effectively. And even in the lower meta, you want to figure out what things work and why things work the way they do. And so usually with that, what you want to focus on is the idea that some heroes have higher skill ceilings and higher skill floors, and others have lower for both of those and stuff. Genji is a character with a fairly like medium to high skill floor and a high skill ceiling. But the problem is, Genji, especially the higher you go into the meta, sucks. He doesn't have a whole lot of damage. His cooldowns don't deal a lot of burst, they don't help with shield break, and they don't CC. On top of that, he's susceptible to CC. His ultimate makes him keeps him susceptible to CC, which is crowd control, so like stuns, knockbacks, slows, etc. Um, which just all in all means that it's harder to get value. Doesn't mean it's impossible, and it doesn't mean like he can't be played. It just means that it's harder for him to get the same level of value that you could be getting out of a different character, if that makes sense. You also need to focus on what composition you're running and what composition the enemy team is running once you're aware. Obviously, you're just starting here, so you're not going to be 100% aware of what's going on. So to start out, you have Rein Zarya, Baptiste, and Ana, and then a Widowmaker as your other DPS. So this is kind of just a fairly standard comp. Your goal here is going to be to push with your front line with the Rein Zarya because you don't have like a double shield or anything, and you don't have shield break. So you really need to brawl and take fights where you can, and kind of take fights fast because you guys will lose the slow and steady shield war, especially once you realize, sorry, my camera's in the way here. But they have an Orisa, a Roadhog, a Genji, a Junkrat, and then an Ana and a Baptiste. So they have the same healers that you do, more shield break because they traded out a Widow for a Junkrat, and then even more shield break because they have the Orisa shield and the Roadhog shield. This might be a fairly long video because I'm going to try to explain a lot of things in detail, so I apologize in advance if that isn't your style. You can let me know later if like what type of thing works for you, so I can better tailor it. I'm used to doing VOD reviews in person with other people, but we make things work. But yeah, in general, with Reinhardt, the thing about Reinhardt's shield versus like an Orisa shield, which makes Orisa usually considered the stronger meta pick, is because even though Orisa only has 600 shield now on a 10-second cooldown, as opposed to Reinhardt, who has a 1,600 shield with no official cooldown, is because seeing as Reinhardt has to budget his shield properly, like if his shield gets destroyed or gets low, he has to drop it for a bit and let it regrow. It means that in the end, most of the time, Orisa has more consistent shield uptime because she can just pop a new full HP shield back down every 10 seconds, as opposed to Reinhardt, who might have to repeatedly use his shield or like hop in and out of shield often in order to avoid taking too much damage and dying. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and jump into it, because we're going to be focusing mostly on your gameplay. I just wanted to get some of the basic things in on what you should be thinking about when you select a hero, as well as other things like that. So far you're good. You're taking an off angle here. You see, at this point you see their comp. You know their entire composition. Like all of them are basically in your line of sight. You know they don't have a Reinhardt, which means you don't need to worry about like deflecting fire strikes for ult charge, which is a big thing that you can do on Genji in order to get value, because seeing as fire strike has the ability to hit multiple players and go through shields, Genji gets a lot of value out of deflecting those back into the enemy team, because it means the enemy Reinhardt doesn't get ult charge and you do. Alright, so yeah, with Genji here, you want to be taking an off angle because realistically your shield break sucks. Like your entire comp shield break sucks, but also Genji individually has terrible shield break. His job is not to shoot shields, his job is more to take fights. The problem is, in this meta, you need to be able to take fights with the rest of your team. So you have to kind of play off of your team. Now, I took a brief look at this VOD before making this video, so I have a little bit of insight, but for the most part, this will be us watching at the same time. A big thing I want to highlight for you too is proper cooldown use. Genji is a very cooldown focused hero because his shuriken, they're like alright, they're solid damage output, but they're not super consistent damage output, which means you need to be utilizing your cooldowns, you're deflecting your fire strike to the, not fire strike, swift strike to the best of your capabilities in order to be building that ult charge. Like right here, once you see the hog is pushing you, you pretty much know that the hog is going to try and hook you. And at this rank, he misses the hook. At higher ranks, perhaps he doesn't. It's something to be watching out for. You gotta kind of be careful when messing with that, because if you challenge a good Roadhog player, you will lose. As a Roadhog player, I've tilted many a Genji by landing hooks. They don't expect you to. But yeah, it's good of you to be building ult charge here, because basically Genji's job, and this especially applies to like this meta and such because of damage creep, Genji's job is to try and build ult as fast as he can, because his ult is where he's going to be able to get picks through a lot of like the sustain and CC and damage that's in this current meta of Overwatch. So trying to build your blade as fast as possible and usually try and combo it with like Nano or Zarya's ult or something like that is really big. So getting damage off of the hog is really good, but if you notice, you still haven't used your cooldowns yet, which on one hand is good, which means you have your cooldowns, but on the other hand, you want to be making sure that you're doing what you can to A, stay alive, and B, output damage. So like, another thing I wanted to briefly mention with Genji in particular, seeing as that's who you're playing, you always want to save at least one cooldown, usually Swift Strike, but sometimes Deflect, for like a get out of jail cooldown. You want to be able to use like one of them offensively, maybe both offensively, in a specific circumstance that I can talk about. But you want to make sure you have a cooldown, because your cooldowns are the way you get out of fights alive. Like if they start attacking you, you want to make sure you can live through it. And so Swift Strike is good because it means you can get out, and Deflect is good because obviously it deflects damage and thus you won't be hit. So now you come in here, you use Deflect for damage, which is good, especially with the Junkrat. It means you build a lot of damage, and then you use the Swift Strike. So that's what you want to be a little careful about, because though the Swift Strike gets you more damage and you're now in the enemy's backline, you guys just lost your healer. So your entire team's over here, judging by the yellow icons, and you're the furthest person up into their team, and you have the tanks in between you and the team, and then everyone else shooting at your back. Which means, and you have no cooldowns for escape, which means you need to try and get out of there as fast as possible, because you don't want to die. Now, the particular circumstance that I mentioned earlier was that if you can Swift Strike in order to try and guarantee a kill, seeing as Swift Strike works off of eliminations, like if you get an elimination, then your Swift Strike resets, you to dash again, then you can dash in for a kill shot, and then you have the ability to dash out if things get dangerous. And in some cases, you can dash in, get the kill, and immediately dash back out in order to guarantee the fact that you're alive and now you're up in the fight. But right here, you're still focusing the Orisa, which is, I guess, okay, because you're trying to build ult charge, which is good. But when she's in this like golden state, she takes half damage, which means you're going to be getting half the ult charge for your buck, which means you want to either be shooting at the hog or be trying to take out a low health squishy. And seeing as there aren't really many low health squishies at the moment, then you want to be going for the Roadhog. Now you see that the BAP is out there in the open. You're able to kind of get out because they don't really notice you, which is pretty nice. But you do want to be careful about those kinds of things. So here you go. They just used what people normally call window, the damage amplifier. And you now have Blade. You've built Blade really quickly, which is really good. You don't have either of the cooldowns that I told you might want to be comboing it with, so it's kind of up to you if you want to be using it here. Another thing you need to keep in mind is when you're Genji blading, you want to focus on what things they have to counter you, right? So on their team, you have to watch out for like hook. In some cases, you need to be careful about that. You need to be careful of sleep. You have to kind of be careful of trap, but that's not too big of a deal. And then the really big thing you want to be paying attention to on Genji before you blade is what support ultimate do they have, if anything, that would nullify your ultimate. So like usually that's a Lucio sound barrier or like a Zenyatta trance. But with the addition of Baptiste, you have to watch out on a 20-second cooldown for his what people call lamp, the immortality field, because immortality field will mess your day up. Because obviously your enemies can't be killed and you have to waste time hitting it a bunch, which is no fun. So yeah, I'm pretty sure they still have their immortality field. I don't think you've seen it come up yet if they did use it. So you know they have that, which means you have to be a little careful. You also, I'm pretty sure they have sleep dart, because I haven't heard any them use it at all and haven't seen them use it. So you want to be careful about all of their CC or ability to nullify your ultimate. You do end up going for it, and this is a little technical Genji thing. One little thing to keep in mind is Genji is very combo focused. Like you can do a lot of little tips and tricks with Genji that I guess I can go into later. I'll probably won't mention it too much in this video because that's a lot of hero specific stuff, and I don't know how much you know and how much you want to know about that. But if you want, you can talk to me about that, and I can get you more information. But you can like combo a lot of different things together and use his cooldowns very effectively together with his ability, like his baseline damaging things like left and right click, in order to kill things faster. So I'm gonna actually Kefri this real quick and turn it down to slow motion. I already have that on. That was the wrong button. All right. Ooh, that's okay. Hello. So you go for the dash, which is good because when you Genji blade, your dash resets. So there's no reason really not to dash into the enemy team when you're blading, or up in the air if you want like a nano boost. So you pull blade. You can't really see it too well because my camera is in the way, but seeing as you dashed through both of the supports, you can kind of see it here. Both of them just took at least 50 damage. The BAP's actually a little bit lower, which means that you can, seeing as they aren't using lamp, you can effectively one-shot combo them right here. And how you do that, which you don't exactly do right, but this is what I wanted to mention, you pull blade, and then what you want to do is you want to slice first and then dash. So the standard left click first, then dash. Because Genji's dash does 50 damage. Like, keep in mind, most of these players have 200 HP total, like 200 max. So dash does 50 damage, 1/4 of their health. A slice does 120, which is 60% of their health. And then, seeing as your dash resets, you get another dash, which does another 25% of their health, which is 50 health. So in total, that gives you 110% of their health and damage across a fairly short combo, fairly short time. Now what you do here is you blade and then you immediately dash again. This is a slower version of doing it. You end up still getting a kill actually if you see, once you find their BAP here. Like you follow through on the combo, but you did it in the wrong order, which means you were slower. And when your Genji blade only lasts 6 seconds, you want to have the maximum amount of uptime. You want to go as fast as humanly possible because you want to get as much value as you can out of, I believe he has 7 slices in 6 seconds. So what you want to do is dash into the enemy team, pull your blade out, slice once, and the second you get the hit marker, you can cancel the rest of like the follow through animation and the cut with a dash. And that's how you want to do it because that's basically an instant kill on a squishy unless they get healed or they use an ultimate or you get countered or like CC'd. All right, so let's keep going with it. You use another dash, but you get halted right there, which is a fairly common thing to occur with Genji. Deflecting to try and block either of the Ana cooldowns is a good idea. And then you hit her back down to health. Can you get one more swing off? Yes, you can. Nice. And actually, that's really good. You dash to avoid the like blade sheathing animation because that saves some time if you dash at the very end of your blade. I don't know if that was purposeful or not, but that is a little tip that higher ranking Genji players use a lot. So that was really good. All in all, that was a solid blade. You wanna work on that combo that I just talked about at the very beginning there because that can help get a pick. But that was solid. Now it's basically just follow through to clean up the fight. Orisa's dead there. You're right clicking in between cooldown uses, like right click before dash, which is good. You're going after low health squishies, which is also good. Your target prioritization is doing well. You want to be a little careful of the trap that's like right next to you. Now you want to be going for healers. You want to be focusing a little less on blade here when you're in the fight there, because your like the enemy team's healers are keeping this hog alive, and it's going to be really hard to kill a hog through 2 healers like that. You immediately deflect there on Nano because you expect a CC. They don't go for it because they're not super high ranked players, but that was good game sense. It was a smart move to be doing that. So now you have your dash back. You have blade here. Alright, you go for another blade. There's the lamp. This is actually a huge blade. That was well done. That was good timing. It was a clean blade. You took out Immortality Field quickly, and they relied on it too much, so they got killed for it. Yeah, you're being careful about the junk, which is good. Junks can mess you up, because with a left click and then his mine, he can just instant kill you if you're not careful. So you have to be conscious of your deflect and of the distance you're giving him. There you go. Now you're back. Alright, so you guys go for the grav. You want to be dashing through gravs, because that does, like, when you don't have, like, a blade or something, what your usual plan of action is into a grav, and you were a little far away, so I'll cut you some slack on that, is you usually want to be dashing into the, you want to be doing as much damage to all of them as possible. So you want to, like, dash in, you can melee if you have to, try and hit all of them, because if one of them dies, then you reset your dash cooldown, and that's 50 more damage to everyone inside of the grav, which means you start racking up damage like crazy, which increases your ult charge and gives you chance for even more eliminations. I've seen really insane Genji plays where literally all they do is just dash through grav back and forth, like over and over and over again, like 4 or 5 different dashes in a row, and it just cleans up the entire team. It's disgusting. Alright, so now they're blading. They also use Window. You want to be a little careful peeking into this, because Window here literally doubles his damage, and Bap's damage is also already really high. So he hit a headshot on you, and you're at 123 HP. You look at him, he turns for 1 second, and he kills you. That was over half your HP, because he had at least 1 headshot on top of body shots, I guess. It's a really gross ultimate for how quickly it comes up, but you need to be paying attention to it. You have both cooldowns, which means you had a few different options there. Option 1 would be, if you didn't want to use dash, you could deflect to get to close distance. I know he wasn't looking at you, so you kind of thought you were safe there, but you always want to be prepared for it, because you know he can see you. So you can either deflect to close the distance and try and cut him off, or you can dash through him and force him to either prioritize you and go to the other side of the window, in which case you can deflect, or he keeps prioritizing other people, and either he windows or he lamps himself to keep himself alive with immortality, or he just accepts that you're going to try and kill him. Which, I mean, either of those options is better than you laying dead on the ground. So you want to be ready to preemptively outplay your opponent on Genji. That's a big thing with Genji, preemptively outplaying. Knowing that you're going to need to deflect early to block this, or to block a Roadhog hook or a sleep. You did it earlier with your blade, where you deflect prematurely on their Ana while you were blading, because you thought maybe they were going to try and nade you or sleep you, probably sleep. And even though it didn't end up working out, it's like a better safe than sorry incident, where here you end up sorry. Alright, so I'm going to skip ahead to where you're alive again. So you guys lost that fight. Enemy team is holding pretty far up. Their Roadhog's a little out of position, trying to get cheeky. You're hitting really strong shurikens on the BAP. You're not over flicking with it, which is looking really good. Here's where you want to get out. Like, you were doing well with your cooldown usage in order to try and, you use deflect more offensively, partially defensively to keep yourself alive, but also like offensively in order to deal some damage, try and get the pick. But then once you realize that they're going to live through that, so you're getting shot at, you're getting pretty low thanks to the BAP. You use deflect here. Right around here, the second your deflect ends is where you're the most vulnerable. Because now they know you're here, they know you don't have deflect, and they've started to turn around. The Reaper came out of the fight, so he's now on you. The Ana's still just kind of oblivious, but the BAP is on you, and now he's even lamping, which means at this exact moment, you want to be getting out of there. Because it's better to live, or at least try and get out, than just take the L, even though your team is pretty much losing this fight pretty bad. So I'm gonna skip ahead more to when you're back. You guys sleep the Roadhog there, but wake him up. Kill him. That's really big. Your Reinhardt is suffering. Your target prioritization is really good though. You're shooting at the right people for the most part. You want to be trying to clear off high ground, which you're doing a pretty good job of. Your Zarya bubble saves your life there, but you do have the sense then to back out. You realize that that's not a fight you're going to win, and you want to do it, which was good. Alright, so now you have Blade, which is big. You're coming back up to help out your team. It took you the length, but you prioritized the right target. You got a kill with it. That's kind of how Genji works. Not every blade will be a 6k, and that's alright. You just try your best to take out the high priority targets, which is usually the healers. And you did that. I see no harm in that. And especially in this meta, Genji blades are kind of hard to perfect because you have to worry more about not getting cancelled than you do about how many people you can murder. So, yeah, that was solid. It takes some practice to get used to kind of the disorienting nature of moving faster through Genji Blade. There, I know it was a little sudden, but you want to try and use a cooldown to either get out or deflect some damage. Usually you want to get out of there, because deflect is not always the nicest to you when you're fighting Reaper. That's a little weird. Alright, they have a Winston now, which means they're running Winston Roadhog here. That means your shield is now much better than theirs. Like, long term, your shield priority is much better. You guys kill the Genji, or the Winston when he goes in, which is big. Deflecting into lamp is good. Not lamp, window. I always mix those up, sorry. Unfortunately, that was not a fight you guys really won. Did you have deflect there? No, you did not. That's unlucky. Not too much you could have really done about that one. He turned the corner into you. Alright. So let's see. You come up there to try and attack from a different angle. You want to be a little careful. Reaper is... You also got an arrow to the head. That's quite the cinematic. Sit down. Reaper has fairly loud footsteps, so you want to be like listening for that, because obviously, like, I could see him through the wall there as he was pushing. You couldn't, but you can hear his steps there off to the right, so you want to be a little careful about that rather than just kind of hard focusing. Because from this distance, you're not going to be able to kill that Hanzo. You're just going to try and poke for ult charge, which is fine, but you just want to be careful that you're not putting yourself into a bad spot. And you die fast there just because of the Hanzo headshots. There wasn't really anything your BAP could do either. Or you could do realistically. That was just kind of rough. Here's where you want to get out. You lost both tanks. You weren't able to be in that fight, which was just a little unfortunate. Here we go. The Nano Blade. And that's why Genji is not considered an ideal hero in this meta. Because even with Nano Blade, they can sustain through a lot of it. You didn't really have the opportunity to fight the right people there, which was a little unfortunate. Like, there just wasn't too much you could do about that fight, so that's just kind of how it is. Your job right now is literally just to stall. You just want to be as wily as you can be. Try to be hard to hit. Alright. Here we go. That was my Discord notification, don't worry about it. actually gonna... No, hopefully I don't get any more. That was a really big sleep from Urana. Unfortunately, you guys couldn't quite get the follow-through you needed, but it was good effort. Their soldier's taking an off angle, which is good for him. Honestly, both of their DPS are. Just because you guys can't really see super clearly, they have a Sigma now instead of their Reinhardt, or not the Reinhardt, the Orisa. So they're still running Sigma Hog instead of Orisa Hog. And now they have Soldier McCree instead of their previous DPS lineup. Taking an off angle is solid. You want to be careful of that McCree though, because he is hurting you. Nice, good dash. You gotta kill, you want to be a little careful. You're calling that you need healing, but at the same time, seeing as you have not yet been healed, I know you'd like to hope that your healers would hit those shots and be better, but sometimes they just don't, especially in the lower ranks. That's just kind of how it is. Either way, you need to play off of your team in that case. There's no point in going in when you're too low to get enough value out of it, you know? So you want to be careful about that. Luckily for you, it seems like they're not really focusing you. A good deflect to try and get the flash out. You're playing well here. You're using cooldowns pretty well. You're dodging the hog. You knew he had hook there. And you didn't have deflect, so that was realistically the best you could do. You might want to be able to like dash through him there. Like if you... I would try and probably dash around right here, because if you notice, he's not shooting you. Like after he finishes up healing, this is where he's looking at you, he's trying to wait and figure out when his time to hook is. He's trying to see A, if you're going to deflect super early, and B, if like just where you make a predictable enough movement that he can throw his hook and hit you. Which is why he's just standing there and not shooting. But you do dodge it. You might want to dash there next time in order to just further avoid the chance, but all in all, well played. Your movement's actually really good. You're aiming a little high for the lamp, but it's through a hedge. I can't blame you. Just be careful on an off angle like this, because your team, your tank line, is going to be trying to play this corner for most of the time. So they're going to be trying to play right over there. You're over here, which is fine. Off angles are good, but that means you have to be more like careful about how you use your dash, because if you use your dash like offensively, it means unless you really get a pick and are able to get out, you're probably dead. You want to be able to save your dash in case they push you this way, that way you can get out over there. Alright. Your McCree, that's a big deadeye. You now have Blade. If you notice, their hog has a tell. Every time he's trying to line up a hook, at the very least on you, because you can double jump and stuff, he waits. He's waiting for when you can do a predictable movement, which is usually when you're falling down from a double jump, because when people are falling, it's the easiest to hit, because it's very predictable movement. So when their hog isn't shooting and is just watching you, which I think a fair amount of like lower SR hogs do, that's when you can really punish the most. You also want to be careful about being too close, just in case, because he does have a shotgun and that can hurt. Alright, you call your blades ready to be unleashed. Same kind of thing, you want to do the combo that I mentioned earlier, but it's not the end of the world. It just means you might be able to get another kill as opposed to just one. Moira is kind of annoying to go against because of fade and the fact that you can't deflect your damage. So, in some cases there you want to just get out. Alright, now you're back in there. That was really well done. That was a solid combo. You want to, next time I guess, do it a little faster. Like, once your deflect is done, or even to cancel your deflect at like the very end when you're like sheathing your short sword, that's when you can throw a right click in, or you can dash. If you do it to the point in which you can throw a right click then dash, you can do that, or you can just dash to cancel the rest of deflect once he stops looking at you. But like, you did the combo well. That was well done. You just then want to get out of there as fast as you can, because like you're the second you kill him, you can dash again. So right there, that's when you can dip, because you are low HP and the Moira is looking right at you. So just a thing to be careful about. Also, sorry for the length of this thing. I appreciate if you're all the way out here, or like all the way into this video. I promise it's done soon. A good idea to grab the health pack. You want to be careful of the Mei, though you hit really good shots there. That was good knowledge of her health in order to hit the right click and dash at the same time and know that that was going to finish her off. That was well done. Like, you're a solid Genji player. I think you're doing a really good job. You can dash that, dude. I can almost guarantee you that would be a kill shot if you had hit that dash right there. Pretty sure you had it too. But you make it work either way. The big thing about Genji is just maximizing. A lot of the time it's even, I seem to remember you're like a league player, so there's a degree of APM that goes into Genji, which makes him a really fun hero to play. And that's something that I think you, like, if you want to give yourself a goal, try and work on raising your APM in terms of make it, like, using your decision making to make those decisions faster. Obviously, you want to be careful with your decision making, because making decisions faster means that A, you have to have good decision making, and B, you have to have the speed to do it right. But I mean, that's what the point of this is. You give yourself a goal, work towards it. You have good game sense, you have good understanding, you just want to get the mechanical aspect on lock. That way you die less, which means you can get more value. Go for the blade. Unfortunately, you get CC'd because CC. Alright, you realize that the Winston's low, so you guys follow through on that, which is big. You're staying out of the Mail, which is good. They're using a lot of ultimates this fight. Fair. You're doing well here. I really, like, I don't have much to complain about. Well done. Yeah, I think that was all in all a solid work on Genji, especially for a gold player. I think you did well. You just need to be careful about understanding how your opponent plays, and you want to, here, I'll just save this full screen. You want to like make sure that you are in the upper hand, right? That you're thinking ahead so that you don't get left behind. That's a big thing with Genji. Making sure you understand what your enemy is going to do. That way when the enemy does that, you've already deflected, dashed out, killed them, done whatever you needed to do. And I mean, sometimes, especially with Genji, deflect will be annoying and not do exactly what you want, especially with like flashbang from McCree. You could do everything right and still get punished, which I don't particularly like, but there's not much I can do about that, so you do what you can. But yeah, that'll be all. Let me know. My Discord is Sockdologer number 0336 on Disc. I'm in Everfrag, as you know, because you posted it there. So yeah, just DM me if you have any like questions or type anything out in the Overwatch Advice channel, and that should be all. Peace out.